What is up, everyone? Coach Corey Martin here, and today I want to do a simple walkthrough on how I use the Kinemaster video editing software on this is an Android Galaxy S20 smartphone, but there's also an app for iOS, and this will work on any other modern era Android device. Over here on the right, you're going to see, as soon as you open up the app, you're going to see all the projects you've been working on to the right. If you want to create a new project, over here, this plus sign to the left, which that's what we're going to do today for this example. And then after you create a new project, it's going to ask for an aspect ratio. Most of my videos are made for YouTube. Therefore, I usually go with the 16:9, the first one that you see up here. And then the next thing it's going to ask you for is a base media. And here's a little trick that I use, and I'll explain why as we get further into this thing. I just use a black screenshot or black image as my background, as my base media. And I have that up here in the top left. You see this black little square. So I'm going to select that. And like I said, I'll explain why I do that here in just a little bit. Then I'm going to drag it to what I think is going to be the duration of my video. We'll try to make this one a quick little 30-second demo video. So drag it out to 30 seconds. And wherever you drag this little vertical red line, that's where you're going to be making edits or adding things to your video. So let's go to the beginning here, since we're going to start from the very beginning. So now all we have, if I click play, is just a black screen, but that's what I want. Now we can start adding layers. This is very important over here where you see layer. What's really going to be the background of my media, what people are going to see, I'm gonna use this example to create a jungle themed PE game, and I have an image of a jungle. I usually find free images on the internet, and I've already downloaded it. So let's click layer over here, and we're going to add media. And now I usually save most of my files in this download folder, so let's go back to the download folder, and I should have the picture of the jungle here down here in the bottom left. That's the image of the jungle. That's really going to be our background. Okay. This is a big reason, one of the reasons why I like to use a black base and then make my background actually a layer. I can resize, I can drag this thing around, I can put it exactly how I want to fit this 16:9 aspect ratio window. This looks good right here. This is how I want it. Now the problem is, if I drag the vertical red line, you can see it's not long enough. Easy fix. Tap on the image, highlight it, and then drag this thing so that it fits the length of the 30-second video that I'm going to make. And I can always go back and adjust this. If I need to make the video longer, then you can drag it and make it as long as you want. Now let's talk about some effects that you can do to the different layers. Okay, so here's the background image. I want to make this thing pop onto the screen, give it a little animation as you start the video. So as long as I have it highlighted, which I do, we're gonna select in animation at the top right. This is how it's going to appear. You can have it pop in like that, and it gives you an example of what it's going to look like whenever you try something new. I like the fade. For something like this, a project like this, I would choose fade. So you can see on the example, it's going to fade into this image of a jungle. And I'm going to make it fade a little bit slower so I can drag this thing right here, and let's give it a 2-second fade instead of a 1/2 second fade. So let's drag back to the beginning and see what it looks like. We'll click the play button. Now we're in the jungle. Cool. Now, let's say I wanted to give it a title, a text title. Once again, this is also going to be layer. Anytime you add something to it, it's more than likely going to be a layer that you're adding. So let's say that here it pops up, it fades in, and we want the title to start right here. That red vertical line. This is where we want that layer of the title to start. So now let's click layer. Now instead of media, we're going to select text. And this is where you type in the title, whatever text you want on the screen. Let's call this the jungle. The jungle, there we go. We can resize the text, we can move it around. And one thing that I like to do for my videos is I'll give the text an outline. So let's enable the outline, and we can change the width of that and the color of this outline. And I like that. That looks good. Let's make it a little bit bigger. We can resize it right there, simple enough. So now we have our text layer. So let's click play and see what we got. Now, if you want to make this look even more professional, let's give the title, the text layer, an in animation, just like we gave the picture of the jungle. So remember how we went down here and we did in animation and made it fade onto the screen? We can do the same thing for this text layer. Just make sure it's highlighted. We'll select in animation. We can do a fade like we did with the jungle, or one thing I like to use for any type of text layer is I'll use the pop. I think that looks really cool. So let's click the check mark, see what it looks like. The jungle, there we go. Now let's say we only wanted that text layer to last for, see right now we're looking at a few seconds. Let's say we only wanted it to last for a couple seconds. You can highlight it and you can drag this down here and shorten it to, we'll say 2.5 seconds, and see how that looks. So see, it gave me the duration length there. Let's see what it looks like. Let's click play. Cool. Now I want to add an out animation. So instead of just the jungle title disappearing, let's make it fade out. Make this a little bit longer. Drag it out a little bit so I can add an out animation. Not an in animation, an out animation. How's it going to leave the screen? And I do think fade looks good for this. So let's leave it on fade. And now let's see what we got. Sweet, looks good. Now we're ready to start adding animations, adding characters, and really make this a fun game. Usually I would put some instructions on the screen, but I'll skip that since I do that the same way that I did the text layer of the title. That's usually how I'll add instructions. So now let's just jump into adding characters and objects and things that the kids would interact with if they're playing this PE game. The first of which is I downloaded an image of some bananas. We're going to be collecting bananas and dodging snakes in our little simple jungle game. So once again, you want to add another layer. Don't click media. If you click media, I'll show you what happens if you click media. If you click media, it's going to add it to the base, once you don't want that. You don't want this to be the base. You want this to be an actual object that's going to be moving around the screen. So see how it adds it up there at the top? We don't want that. Okay? So to delete something, select it and click delete. And now let's drag where we want to put it and click layer instead of media. Now we can select media since we are under the layer tab. Go back to our download folder and select the bananas. Sweet. Now let's resize it. Make it a little bit more to scale. Very important. I want these bananas to be dropping from the sky, because if you're a kid playing this game, I visualize or I envision the kids moving to collect the bananas, moving left to right. Wherever you want the image to start, that's where you need to go ahead and drag it. So let's drag it up to the sky. That looks good. Now see how my little red line down here is at the beginning? That's what you want. Have that red line at the beginning of that image. Very important that you learn how to use this key feature I'm about to show you. Over here on the left, you see a little key, okay? You're gonna click that. This is how I make this thing move around the screen to my liking. And like I said, it's going to start at the sky. So that's why at the beginning of this clip, it's going to be in the sky. Now let's drag to the end of the clip, the very end. Where do I want it to finish? Well, if it's falling from the sky, it's going to finish below the ground. So now that we have our key feature selected over here, we're going to drag this thing down to the ground. So it's going to start at the sky. And if I click play, it's going to fall to the ground. Sweet. Now that was really slow. I anticipate my bananas falling faster than that. All I have to do is just drag the duration and make it a shorter duration. So it's going to be a shorter period of time that this banana is going to be going from the sky to the ground. Now let's try it. Still too slow. And if I want to zoom in down here, all I got to do is pinch with 2 fingers and zoom. I didn't change any length of anything there. I just zoomed in on this timeline so it's easier for me to edit this. So let's shorten the duration now and see what we got. That looks good. So let's start from the beginning. Jungle fades in. There's the title, the jungle. There's our banana falling from the sky. Perfect. Sweet. Now, see, we're collecting bananas and we're going to dodge snakes. But you know what? Let me show you a little trick here. If you want to add more bananas. So let's say that we're going to have a banana fall from the left part of the sky, and then we want one to fall from the right part of the sky. An easy way to go about this is to highlight it. In the top left, you'll see 3 little dots. Click the 3 little dots and click duplicate. Now we have 2 sets of bananas. And if I drag over it, it looks like really there's just one, but that's because they're layered right on top of each other. So let's move one to a different part of the timeline. Hold it with your finger and drag it. There we go. So now you're going to see there's 2 different sets of bananas falling down, but I don't want them in the same spot. Once again, this is going to reinforce that key feature. Highlight the second set of bananas that you want to fall from a different part. Go to the beginning, so drag to the beginning of it. Click the key feature. Now, where do we want this one to start? We want it to start on the right side of the screen. And where do we want it to finish? Not down there, because you can see it's still set to finish down at the bottom left. We want this one to finish in the bottom right. So I might actually have to rotate this thing so I can get a hold of it. It can be a little tricky sometimes. Usually I try not to drag it that far off the screen because then it's hard to grab it where I need to, but there we go. Now we want this thing to finish down here. Let's see. Nope, it's still going a little far to the left, so let's fix that. Let's drag it right there. There we go. So now you can see 1 set of bananas falls to the left, 1 set of bananas falls to the right. Sweet. Now let's add our snake. So we're going to click layer one more time. Select media. Go to our download folder. And let's find the snake. Now I want the snakes to be shooting left to right across the screen. So we can rotate this thing. I think this is going to be the better angle to have this thing. Ideally I want it shooting across the screen like this. I'm just dragging it with my finger now. We're going to add this animation in just a second. Let's scale this thing down some too. There we go. Once again, so highlight the snake, go to our key feature. Where do we want it to start? We want it to start over here. There we go. And let's drag to the end. Where do we want it to finish? We want it to finish on the other side. So now, when you click play, you can see it flying across the screen. But if you remember, we had to shorten the amount of time of the bananas because this is really slow. Let's do the same thing with the snake. There we go. Looks good. And if we wanted, this is another cool feature. If we wanted to really bring this snake to life, we're going to highlight it, and instead of doing in animation or out animation, we're going to do overall animation. And I like to use floating. If I'm trying to bring a character to life, you see where it says floating right there for the overall animation? And now you can see that snake's kind of floating around the screen like it's got some life to it. Adds another layer of depth or realism to this activity, this game. Okay, so you're ducking out of the way of the snake. Now, that kind of gives you an idea of how to use the layer feature to add objects or characters and bring them to life. Now we're going to talk about the green screen feature in this app, which is amazing. And I've actually already gotten a green screen video of a monkey playing with a snake. It's right here, you can see it. And this is a really cool green screen video. And it fits this activity perfectly. Now we want this thing, I want it to start right after the snake flies by, so let's drag it to right there using the little red vertical line so that we know where we're at in the video. And there you can see our monkey playing with the snake, but we want the background of that little green screen video to go away. Drag it down here too. Sometimes I'll need to crop the image first, so you can crop it and then you can cut out the different corners, but this one I don't think I need to, but understand that there is a cropping feature that you might want to mess with before you do anything else. So now that we have it on the screen where we want to make that green, that bright green color disappear so it looks like that monkey and snake are actually in our video. So what we're going to do is highlight it and go to chroma key. And we're going to enable it. Now, for me, luckily enough, that just made everything disappear and it looks like we're good to go. But what you want to make sure you have down here in the bottom left of this chroma key feature, you want to make sure that key color matches the exact color of the background of the video that you're trying to make transparent. And this looks like it's already matched up. That's why as soon as I enabled it, it makes that color go away. And you can mess with these lines here to make it stand out a little bit more, a little bit less, fine tune it really. So see how the monkey kind of disappears if I go too far? I think this is a good balance right there. We'll click check. And now we can continue to move this thing around on the screen and get it where we want. I think it looks good right there. So now let's see what this looks like. This is going to look cool. Let's start from the beginning. Let's put it all together. There's our good looking title with the in animation, out animation. There's our bananas falling that we're trying to collect. There's the snake flying across the screen. Now here's our monkey playing with a snake. And this looks really good. I mean, I think this fits. It just kind of jumped out of the screen there. And like I said, you can slide this thing around and make it, let's put it down there. I think that looks good. Really awesome to be able to do this. And you can also, just like with the titles, with the text layers, and any other layer, you can give this thing an in animation. So I think fading this onto the screen will look good too. So see how we fade the green screen clip on? Yeah, I think that looks good. Awesome, and lots of things you can do here. One last thing I wanted to show you before, I don't want this video to get too long, and this is just a basic introduction. You can add music. Let's just use the title here. You can add sound effects or music. Drag your vertical red line to where you want the music to come in. Let's say we want the music to pop in with the title here. Okay, so select that and just click check just so that you can get out and go back to the main little window here. Audio, see where it says audio? Click audio. I want to add a sound effect, so SFX. Scroll through the different, I know this, it might not seem like it fits, but I use the door slam feature, the door slam sound effect a lot. And you get all these different door slam sound effects. I think that one sounds good. Let's turn the volume up so you can hear it. Let's add it. Click the little plus sign. Let's see what we got. So the door slam was too soon, which is easy. That's an easy fix. Just drag it a little bit to the right. There we go. I'll let you see that one more time. Gives a little more of a dramatic effect. And I'll show you how we can add sound effects for these bananas falling from the sky too. So let's get to where the banana's falling. Let's drag right there. Click audio, sound effects. Comic accents. We might be able to find something in here. I think that's going to be fine. That kind of, to me, that kind of gives the idea that a banana is falling from the sky. So let's highlight it. Click the plus sign. There we go. And just like you can duplicate the bananas I showed you, you can also click the three little dots and make sure it's highlighted. And you can duplicate that sound effect so that the next time a banana falls, you can do it again. See? So one more time, we'll start from the beginning. Then I would add a different sound effect for the snake. And you can also do voiceovers. So I'll show you this one last thing. Sorry, you can stop watching the video whenever you want, but I think this is a cool little feature here. Let's say I wanted to add sound effects and voiceovers for the monkey and the snake. So get it to where you want to start recording your voice, and then you're going to click record. I'm curious if it'll let me do this since I'm actually screen recording right now. But we'll okay. Now, I know I was making a funny voice there.
Get out of here, snake! Go away! You're not welcome here!
So that's really funny, but we can actually click on that and do a voice changer. Let's see what a chipmunk sounds like.
Get out of here, snake! Go away! You're not welcome here!
That actually kind of fits. So let's watch from the beginning one more time. voila. There you have it. So this is just a quick walkthrough. There we're at 20 minutes, I can see. If you have questions, leave them in the comments. I will be more than open to answering any questions you may have. And also, if you have suggestions for other ways that you want me to explain how to use the Kinemaster app, I'm also open to that as well. So hope you enjoyed watching. Hope you learned something. Take care.